what made the spear system such a great concept to start with was that in the jack-in-the-box moment, I'm here, I don't know when he's gonna throw a punch, he winks, and all of a sudden my hands come up. For me to start aiming for a nerve cluster on purpose means I had to know that he was gonna throw a right, because if he throws a left, I get hit. Y'all follow that? That is why cops lose close quarter fights. That is why martial artists lose street fights. Because the sucker puncher is the jack-in-the-box moment. And you could be there going, do-do-do-do-do-do-do, and the clown pops out. You know it's gonna happen, you don't know when. And the only thing that's faster than his complex motor skill is a primal response, and that is the flinch. How do we know this? Forensics. When somebody gets slashed in a frontal attack in a knife fight, where do you see trauma? Always on the hands and the arms. What about a frontal, like execution style shooting? Where do you also see if the hands aren't tied? So suddenly Tony goes to shoot me in the face and I get this really fast. So we got good news and bad news with that, we always tell people. Good news is the flinch is faster than a speeding bullet. The bad news, it doesn't stop the bullet, okay? But let's take it out of the fighting realm. Car accident, someone goes through a windshield. No seatbelt, where's their trauma? Hands again. So what we looked at from this event in 1988 was this concept that this flinch mechanism was way faster than anything. Conscious neuromuscular communication is slower than unconscious neuromuscular communication. What that means is this, that if Tony does a slow haymaker and I gotta go, oh, that's a right hand haymaker, I'm going to do a rising block with my left hand, because if I do a rising, do it again, if I do a rising block with my right hand, that'll be the wrong. In other words, you gotta track, you gotta vector, you gotta analyze the trajectory, you gotta make the move. But what is my margin for error if I'm intercepting a complex motor skill with another complex motor skill? Zero. Because if I'm early, it looks like this, and I go, I was faster than you, but I get hit, right? If I'm late, it looks like this, shit. And if I have perfect timing, it looks like this. So in a complex motor skill, I need to have exact timing. On a primal gross motor skill, I don't need exact timing. In other words, Tony throws his haymaker, I pick it up late, and I just cover, it bounces off my hands, just like a windshield, just like the first strike of a knife in a surprise attack. Is that cool? That unites every single person in this room, and everybody in this hotel, and everybody in the world. Physiology unites us all. You may be able to strike, but you can't kick. You can kick, but you can't grapple. And in other words, we all gravitate to styles that resonate with our personality, things we like. But at the end of the day, your opponent dictates the fight and how you must fight. And the most dangerous fight is what? The ambush. And the ambush will trigger what in you? A flinch. And it's why most cops miss their first couple of shots in a close quarter gunfight. And I define, just for semantics purposes, a shootout is when the cop starts the fight, a gunfight is when the bad guy starts the fight. And what we don't build into is that first 2 seconds of, oh shit, when the body starts to do this and move away, okay? So here we are, let's add a little physics and science to this, action versus reaction. It's a scientific measure, right? What's faster, action or reaction? Who's the bad guy, action or reaction? Action. So we have all these goofy martial art moves, and I'm a martial artist, I don't mean to put down martial arts. Okay, I've been punched in the face because I tried to do a wax on, wax off. So this is empirical, it's not theoretical. So if action is faster than reaction and the sucker puncher is the action, then does it make any sense to have a complex motor skill response? It doesn't even make any sense. So what we know from forensic studies and studies of startle-flinch is that the flinch is triggered, now listen to this, by visual, tactile, and auditory cues, okay? So if I see him starting to throw a punch, that'll trigger the flinch, but that won't trigger my block because of the way we practice blocking and countering, gun, knife stuff, and so on and so forth. When you practice in your martial arts school, in your boxing gym, in your academy, what stance, when you're practicing defense against a right hand to the face, what stance are you in? But the point I'm making here is this, is when we learn how to punch and counter, aren't we in fighting stances? Well, what this does is this negates the development, the true development of pre-contact cue awareness. How ridiculous would this be? Here's the suspect, he gets out of his car and he's in a boxing stance, and I walk up and I go, well, what do we got here? Sir, you're under arrest, you know? You would never do that, right? But you might walk up and this guy's thinking about sucker punching you. You have no idea because you don't hear the clown music. And he's just standing there like this, and you walk up and you go, well, what do we got here? Boom. And then that happens. And if you can watch dashboard videos, and you see that all the time. Yes, sir.